Check me out on Twitter at Danny, DANNY, number 3 Thompson on Twitter, as well as follow the 3-point conversion on YouTube and Facebook, as well as aroundtheassociation.com on YouTube and Facebook as well, too. Also, if you are subscribing, if you're coming in for the first time, once again, welcome. For those who've been on a consistent basis, also welcome back as well, too. Also, if you're on the Happs TV app, please go ahead and subscribe for more outstanding content. Also, know when I go live as well, too, by going to Happs TV on the app, and it's / Danny Thompson. Also, if you got your coins, go ahead and drop some in for a brother tonight. If not, if you've downloaded for the first time, go ahead and download the Happs TV app. You'll get 100 free coins just for joining, which means you can support my work as well, too. All right, guys, this is game number 16 tonight, and this is now the second game of a 6-game and 8-night stretch for the Charlotte Hornets, and the losing streak's finally over. Good news for Hornets fans. Guess what? The Charlotte Hornets took care of business tonight over the Orlando Magic, and it wasn't the most. It was a hairy game tonight. 107-104 down in Orlando. Charlotte goes this season at 7-9, and the Orlando Magic continue their tailspin at now 7-10. And really, this is going to be a completely different team since the injury of Markelle Fultz. But let's focus on the beautiful things that happened tonight out in Charlotte as well, too. So if you're watching the Happs TV on Happs TV or leaving any type of comments in the chat, please let me know or have any questions about the game tonight. We'll definitely want to go ahead and discuss them as well, too. So let's go ahead and talk about what we saw tonight. And it was a game where Charlotte was down the majority of this game. They were down 13 points going into the fourth quarter, and there was something that was said, and of course I'll go into it in one moment with Miles Bridges, as well as you see Precious in the corner, always stopping for Virginia Beach as well, and also she gave me the high award, so I appreciate the 10-cent donation as always. Thank you very much, Precious. All right, so let's talk about the game tonight. Like I said, Charlotte was down for 13 throughout the fourth quarter. Miles Bridges said something in the huddle, which I'll get to in a minute, that was kind of disclosed between JB and also Miles to us in the post-game press conference. It sparked the Charlotte Hornets. But let's go into the first quarter, and let's start how this game broke down. Orlando comes into this game tonight as the NBA's worst shooting team behind the three-point arc. And ironically, the last 3 games, the Charlotte Hornets have probably get up more three-pointers than Steph Curry's hit over his entire career in that stretch. It seemed like every team was shooting threes on a consistent basis on Charlotte. We saw what Toronto's did. We saw what Dallas did. We even saw what Chicago did on Friday night. So the first quarter, Orlando comes out, and what did they do? They do the same thing that every other team has been doing the last couple games, and that's bombing behind the three-point arc. Orlando hit 5 threes in the first quarter, and they shot 61% from the floor. And the part about it that just is difficult to watch is Orlando doesn't have a primary ball handler. We mentioned Markelle Fultz being out with the ACL injury. Aaron Gordon was out because of hip soreness, which he might play tomorrow. Don't know because it's a back-to-back, but he was held out. They had Cole Anthony at point guard, and they've had Evan Fournier also running the point. But the minutes that Aaron Gordon was playing was divvied out between Gary Clark and James Ennis, who were both in the starting line tonight. What Orlando did in that first quarter was getting a lot of spacing. Charlotte was not getting in passing lanes, and they were just allowing Gary Clark to get wide open shots. Even James Ennis knocked down three-pointers. Most of the times what Orlando has done in early portions of the game is allowed Nikola Vucevic to take advantage of the smaller players inside, especially what Charlotte has in the interior with Bismack Biyombo and PJ Washington, who both were in the starting lineup again tonight. The problem was they didn't go to Vucevic early and relied on the three-point shot. So Orlando knocking down 5 threes in the first quarter is something that didn't happen. But if you're watching the game at home, you're wondering, is this going to be a repeat of what we saw? On the Hornets side of things, the slow start really wasn't too bad because Charlotte got good looks, but once again, the shots weren't falling. You know, outside of Gordon Hayward, who was 4 for 6 in the first quarter, the rest of the team was 5 for 18 shooting the basketball. If you want to even take away PJ Washington's 2 for 3 shooting in the first quarter, the rest of the team was just completely bad. Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier got off to an 0 for 7 start. They couldn't hit water. The shots, it was good shot selection, but it wasn't going in. And really, the entrance of LaMelo Ball in the first quarter kind of sparked the team a bit. He had 3 points, a couple assists, and a couple rebounds that first quarter. And Miles Bridges, they started getting better on the defensive side of the ball. But really, the starters put him in the hole. And this is something that, if you listen to what Del Curry said, the key to the game for Charlotte is not giving up 30-point quarters. The good news was it was only 29. The bad news was you can't shoot 37% in the quarter and expect to win. You go into the second quarter, Charlotte was still scrapping still trying to figure out their way, but really, Miles Bridges in the second quarter and LaMelo Ball in that second unit. Let me tell you what the second unit did for Charlotte in that quarter. If you look at the numbers and the way the minutes were distributed, one thing Hornets fans have been saying was, we need more LaMelo Ball, we need more Miles Bridges. We got to figure out what's going on with Devontae Graham or whatever. And if you listen, James Borrego, listen. Going into the game, James Borrego had mentioned he mentioned yesterday that LaMelo Ball and the Miles Bridges and the bench need to play better. They were outplayed by Chicago. They looked horrible, and Miles Bridges didn't even take a single shot in this game. Hello, Peter. Always from Seattle. Peter, like I said, check out Peter. Also subscribe to him as well, too, on Happs. Always for the love. But in this game tonight, what Borrego had said before the game was they had to play better. LaMelo Ball had to play better. Why he only played 2 minutes in the second half or a minute 30 seconds was he didn't play well. He challenged his bench to be better. It wasn't a challenge to LaMelo Ball. It was a challenge to not just Ball, but to Miles Bridges, to Cody Zeller, to Caleb Martin. The bench players needed to play better. They got outscored by almost 3-1 by the Bulls, and they just didn't do anything on Friday night. They came in tonight, and Miles Bridges came out super aggressive. He had 9 points in the quarter, but really it was all about his aggression. He was getting to the rim. He was knocked down a three-pointer. He was getting in the lane, and you saw him and LaMelo Ball playing that two-man game. You saw the alley-oop. They were looking like the combination that we saw in preseason and the early part of the season. It wasn't just LaMelo. It was Miles. They were starting to rub off on each other. And if you look at the minute total in the second quarter, LaMelo Ball had was almost 11 minutes, 10 minutes played in the second quarter. Miles Bridges played almost 9 minutes in the quarter. And if you look at the breakdown, Biyombo and Graham didn't play much more than about 5 minutes apiece, and PJ only played 6. Give the bench a lot of credit in this quarter because really the bench kept them in it. Bridges was active. LaMelo was active, and even Cody Zeller wasn't scoring the basketball, but you saw the passing. You saw the Charlotte Hornets looking like the team that we saw that was also one of the NBA's best in the first few games of the season by getting assisted on made baskets. 15 assists in the first half on 20 made baskets, which is 75%. Up until this bad stretch of basketball, guess what? Charlotte was doing what they had to do. It was 75%. There was 73% for the majority of the season assist to made basket ratio. This is what James Borrego had been preaching throughout the first half, throughout the season, that because they're playing small and they have so many ball handlers and guys who can create shots, this was the type of effort they needed. Everybody was around the court and they were making plays. Gordon Hayward at the half, it was 58-50. Charlotte was down at the break. The good news is we've all learned this. Charlotte is the best second half defensive team in the entire NBA. They give up 51 points a game going into Friday night when they played Chicago. They play the best second half defense in the NBA. So as long as the game was close, Charlotte had a chance to win this game. It was really all about keeping the game close. Gordon Hayward had 19 points in the first half to lead Charlotte. Ball and Bridges both had 9 apiece. The real problem in the first half was Devontae and Terry only was 1 for 9 from the floor. They combined for 4 points. And as Coach had mentioned, you can't just have halves where one guy does one thing and then you have to rely on somebody else to do it. I asked Coach about getting Terry Rozier going early, and he couldn't figure it out because when you have two guards like Terry and Devontae and trying to get them both going early in the game, with Hayward being so good, and we'll get to Gordon and how good he is in a minute, it's difficult to get everybody going. And 1 for 9 shooting in the first half was bad, but the bench was really, really good. Charlotte was down by 8. You go into the third quarter, and Charlotte kept plugging, kept fighting away at the lead. The problem was Nikola Vucevic is an all-star for a reason. And what did they do in the first half? If you look at Vucevic's numbers in the first half, they didn't go to him as much as you thought he would. He had 6 points on 3 of 10 shooting. It was good defense. But what they did in the third quarter was get the ball in Vucevic's hands and really allow him to use the pick and pop. We saw Cole Anthony making the pick and pop swaps, knocking down three-pointers, and you thought with Orlando in that quarter hitting 3 threes in the third quarter, Ennis hit another one, that Orlando was going to stretch the lead. But what we saw for Charlotte was they started to adjust. They started making adjustments towards the end of the quarter. Bridges started getting more and more effective. LaMelo was in the passing lanes. Yeah, he had 2 turnovers in the quarter, but you saw the difference in LaMelo's game tonight that we had saw in the first few games. If you watch him on the defensive end, Yes, Charlotte was running zone, but what you saw on him on the defensive end was effort. He stayed in his area. He didn't allow open shooters. Orlando just hit shots. So as you got to the end of the third quarter, Orlando was really pulling away from this game. They really hadn't dominated. It was 86-74 going into the fourth quarter. So in this fourth quarter, the wheels fell off for Orlando. The wheels on the Magic bus started going down, and it started going down quickly. Charlotte started the quarter on a 25-9 run, and really it was the sparking play of LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges passing it over to Devontae Graham in the fourth quarter, because I mentioned how Graham had been pretty much non-existent for three quarters, and he was non-existent for three quarters. Graham at this point in the game was only 1 for 7, a negative 20 going into the fourth quarter. Terry was 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter. Devontae Graham and Gordon Hayward in the fourth quarter were just phenomenal in the fourth quarter. And when I say phenomenal, Devontae looked like the player that Devontae was all of last season. He came out, knocked down his first four shots, 3 for 3 from the three-point line. He was hitting shot after shot after shot. And then you saw what Bridges and LaMelo were doing. They were bringing the offense back. Charlotte started picking at this lead. Orlando started making bad turnovers. We had the play where Fournier couldn't hold on to the ball. There were other mistakes, and Orlando just couldn't hit shots. It was the law of averages. Orlando is not a very good shooting team, even though they were 4 for 9 from the three-point line. But what Charlotte was doing was they were getting quality looks at the rim. They were getting wide open shots. And let's be honest, Gordon Hayward took over in the fourth quarter. Now, Gordon Hayward has caught a lot of flack from Hornets fans about the contract. Once again, Gordon Hayward was Gordon Hayward. 13 points in the fourth quarter. He finished with 39 points. He missed four free throws, which is uncharacteristic for a guy that had only missed 6 all season. Hayward's 39 points carried the team tonight. And if you look at the statistics, Charlotte's the only team in the NBA with 2 guys in the fourth quarter in fourth quarter scoring that's individually. Gordon Hayward, I think tonight with his 13 points, jumped ahead. I think he's now 4th in the NBA, right behind Kevin Durant and Julius Randle in fourth quarter scoring in the NBA right now. I want to say the other player on that list in the top 5 is Zach LaVine. So he's right behind them in fourth quarter scoring. He's got almost 100 points in the fourth quarter so far this season. And, we all know what Terry Rozier's done in the fourth quarter. But give Devontae Graham a lot of credit. And I know LaMelo Ball fans are going to be a little bit upset because he sat. When they took him out, it was 88-86. Charlotte went on a run after that. That's when Graham started knocking down shots. Rozier hit a big three-pointer. Gordon Hayward started dominating at the end of the game. I know we wanted to see more of LaMelo tonight, but LaMelo actually played really well tonight. He played much better, and you can tell his energy level was there. His effort was there on the defensive side of the ball. Offense, he had the turnovers tonight, but the effort was there defensively, and that's what you want to see from LaMelo Ball. Miles Bridges had an outstanding game tonight, and one stat Miles Bridges will not see on the score stat sheet tonight is, as you look at his final numbers for tonight for Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball, say Bridges finished the game with 18 points and 6 rebounds to go along with those two steals in the block. What number we won't see is he had an incident in the fourth quarter that sparked this entire team. Coach Borrego said in the post-game press conference tonight that there was a moment in the fourth quarter, because I asked what sparked it. I asked what sparked the fourth quarter run with Orlando. It was 25-4. And Borrego said really it was the team putting it together and Miles Bridges actually opening up and saying some things in a huddle that got the team going. It pushed LaMelo. It pushed the defense, and you saw that defensive effort. And I asked Miles what he said. And Miles had said, well, it was a moment where everybody had to get back on defense. They were letting too many easy baskets get in, and it was altercation between him and one of the coaches. It was a heated moment, but that's one of those moments that's a game-changing moment. When your guy is your high-energy guy, I think arguably the most high-energy guy on this team is Miles Bridges, checks everybody on the sideline and also checks the assistant coach at the same time and gets this team motivated. You saw what happened. The Hornets started playing defense at a high level. They got the lead. They got the lead up to 9 points with 3 minutes left in the game. But the Hornets fell asleep. And when you fall asleep against a team like Orlando, the shots are going to fall eventually. Nikola Vucevic and Evan Fournier decided to start knocking down threes. Even though Devontae was matching 3 for 3 with them, you can only do so much. So we get the game down to 3-point game about a minute ago. Charlotte had a chance to close the game out. They missed 2 shots, and Biyombo got fouled. Biyombo misses both free throws. Unfortunately, Charlotte's inbound to play defense on Terrence Ross was the Terrence Ross is a flamethrower. So the shot that he hit over Gordon Hayward is a shot that Terrence Ross has hit 1,000 times. I've watched Terrence Ross in Orlando for literally his entire existence in Orlando hit these type of shots. He's not the dunker used to be. He's a dangerous three-point shooter. There's a reason why is why his nickname the Human Torch. He will literally torch you on the court because he has that ability to shoot the basketball from anywhere across the court. But the resolve of the Charlotte Hornets in that final stretch of the game, you have to give them a lot of credit. The final inbounds play of the game, it was literally games on the line, and it's a tie game because I said when Ross hit the three, it became a tie game. About 8 seconds left in the game, and then JB, who I've been working all week, and even Hayward said in the postgame, they worked on out of bounds, situational timeouts, what to do in certain situations. Well, Gordon Hayward had been hot the whole game, and so why not Gordon Hayward get the ball again? It was Gordon Hayward and Evan Fournier one-on-one at the top of the key where Hayward goes one direction, goes to the right, goes back to the left, gets around Evan Fournier easily, and there was no help at the rim, and Kim Birch was too late. By that point, you had the easy layup. Game is pretty much a 2-point game, and on top of that outstanding effort by Hayward on the play, the next play was even better. So Orlando calls a timeout, and it's an inbound. The Charlotte defense held his own. They caused a 5-second violation because Cole Anthony couldn't get the ball in. Great defense by PJ Washington. They basically took away all 5 options. PJ was the man screening, jumping, but give the other 4 players on top of PJ Washington outstanding credit because nobody could get open. 5-second call. Orlando had no more timeouts. This game ended. Hayward got fouled in the inbound, hit 1 or 2 free throws. Like I said, he missed 4 in the night, and the Hornets take advantage of, like I said, of coming back in the fourth quarter. This is their second fourth quarter comeback in as many games this season, and they took advantage of Orlando's cold shooting and great defense on the night. Final score 107, 104 in the first part of a double-double back-to-back. Mike Patton in the chat asking about Jordan Bone. He should have shot more. Jordan, actually, for the game site, Mr. Bone finished the game with he had 8 points, knocked out a couple 3-pointers. Really, it was Orlando. They hit 17 threes tonight, Mike. In a game where you look at Orlando being the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA, they go 17 and 36. That's still a problem. I mean, Orlando couldn't hit water all season long, but tonight they hit everything. 17 and 36 is not a good defensive number. And even JB says all the time, if you're going to get 17 3-pointers, you're going to have to do it on the other end. But give the Hornets credit in the fourth quarter for their defense. If you take away what they did in the fourth quarter from behind the arc, Orlando in that fourth quarter shot, literally take away the 3-pointers, they shot 2 for 10 from inside the arc. And in the second half, Orlando, after having such a good start, they shot 40% from the floor in the second half. Outstanding defensive effort. Once again, the Charlotte Hornets on the second half, they owned them. The Magic got 46 points, which is under the 50-point mark, which is where Charlotte needed to be. Charlotte somehow found a way to win tonight, 107-104 in the second game, the first part of a back-to-back. Of course, the outstanding, great, wonderful back-to-back that we're going to see on the next couple nights in Charlotte. And the Magic disappeared at the wrong time. Well, Mike, it wasn't the wrong time. It was the fact of it was the right time for Charlotte's defense to actually do what they needed to do tonight. And Miles Bridges, once again, is becoming much more and more of a leader, to Mike's point. I think between him and Terry didn't have the best shooting game of the world tonight, but his defense, and of course, he knocked down a huge 3-pointer in the fourth quarter to help Charlotte take advantage tonight. And if we really look at the numbers tonight, of course, the game ball tonight, of course, we had Gordon Hayward, 39 points again tonight. Hayward is just completely going through the scoring channels, doing everything you ask of him to do on both sides of the ball. Hayward, on top of the 39 points, he had 9 rebounds. He cut the turnovers down. He had 5 on Friday night. He only had 1 tonight. 15 and 25 from the floor, 5 and 8 from the 3-point line. I mean, he has literally been worth every penny. He's been worth every penny so far this season. And I don't think you could find a Hornets fan right now who was either on Gordon's on the like Gordon list or not like Gordon list that can't say that he's not been worth every penny so far this season. Other game balls tonight, like I said, you got to give it to Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges, 18 points, a definite bounce back game after the effort he had on Friday night. 18 points, 6 rebounds. Really was just there on the defensive. He knocked out a couple 3-pointers. He deserves a game ball. Also, game balls go to LaMelo Ball. Listen, I get a lot of interesting comments about LaMelo Ball on a daily basis between here and the conversation on 3-point conversions YouTube page. But when you look at what LaMelo Ball has done tonight, it was a total 360 from the other night. If you look at the stat line, you'll see 11 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. He played almost 28 minutes tonight. You're wondering why he didn't play any more minutes, but I think he played an outstanding role tonight. He really did his job. Didn't play too much in the fourth quarter because Charlotte was really rolling with the starters. But LaMelo did the little things tonight that that most people that have watched this team have been asking him to do. Yeah, he had the 4 turnovers, and JB said if you're going to give turnovers away, you got to be able to give it on the defensive side of the ball. Even though Orlando was knocking down shots, LaMelo was closing out. He was following back screens. Guys that were back screening 2 weeks ago would have scored on him. Didn't happen tonight. Tonight was an evolution and a very, very good step defensively for LaMelo Ball. Because there was even some points in the second half where LaMelo was in the game and they didn't run zone. That's something that they did not run a 2-3 zone. So they trusted LaMelo with a little bit more, and Borrego's defense was getting much more aggressive tonight. Other game balls tonight, like I said, in the scope of things, you got to give it to Devontae Graham. Once again, Devontae, listen, he struggled. He struggled for 3 quarters. If you look at the 5 for 14, you can be like, well, he had a terrible game. It's not how you start, but it's how you finish. That fourth quarter, when Charlotte was getting the lead back, Devontae Graham looked like the guy that we saw last year that should have got way more votes for most improved player. 11 points, 3 assists, 0 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Speaking of 0 turnovers, the Hornets had not 1 turnover in the fourth quarter. They didn't give the ball away. Everybody contributed, whether it be Bismack Biyombo having a couple of steals in the fourth quarter, Terry Rozier being everywhere across the board with 5 huge defensive rebounds to go along with the 5 points. You talk about what Miles Bridges, it wasn't the numbers he did on the floor, but it was the actual the pep talk. LaMelo Ball didn't do not one thing in the fourth quarter, but they were on plus 11 with his enthusiasm on the quarter, even though he did nothing in the fourth quarter. Everybody contributed tonight, especially in the fourth quarter when they needed it. PJ with some good rim protection. There was a play where I want to say Gary Clark got to the rim and PJ held his own. He also guarded Vucevic. The Orlando, with the exception of James Ennis, who didn't even play in the fourth quarter, every Orlando player in the fourth quarter was a -6 or worse, with Clark, Dwayne Bacon, and Kim Birch all over -10 in the fourth quarter. Give this defense a lot of credit and give them the effort. Like I said, you have to give game balls to everybody, especially the team in the fourth quarter. Now, where do we go from here? Well, these two teams will turn right back around. They'll go back to the hotels and wherever they're staying, and guess what? We'll do this again tomorrow. They'll be playing tomorrow night at 7 p.m. over at the Amway Center for Game 2 of the 2-game series. I feel like it's baseball now. The 2-game series between these two teams at Amway Center. And really, it's been an interesting ride for Charlotte tonight. They got off the losing side. And really, Orlando is a team that, like I said, is in transition. We don't know if Aaron Gordon's going to play tomorrow night. They don't really have a primary ball handler. But to give this team like I said, they forced turnovers. They had 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter. They forced. Orlando had 15 turnovers as the game. Only 27 assists. They really harassed ball handlers in the fourth quarter. Evan Fournier had 4 turnovers. But really give this team a lot of credit tonight. Charlotte shows, as Coach Borrego said, a lot of resiliency in their efforts. So really, the rest of the week looks like this. They play Orlando tomorrow night in the back-to-back. Then they fly home to get ready for Indiana, a much different Indiana team that you would expect it. They play 2 games in 3 nights. That's going to be an interesting test because Miles Turner is one of the best shot block. The NBA's leader in shot blocking, and it's not even close. So it's going to be interesting to see how Charlotte will be able to get to the rim with a rim protector like Miles Turner back there. And then we all know the Milwaukee game is Saturday, 8 p.m. So check us out at 3pointconversion.com to check the post-game interviews with Coach Borrego, with Gordon Hayward, and Miles Bridges. We also had a chance to speak to LaMelo Ball yesterday as well, too. So if you haven't had a chance to hear about LaMelo and what he was talking about being a better basketball player, by all means do so. And also, Hornets fans. It's very interesting as you go through different Hornets groups and different Hornets social media and people who follow the team, and people who are fans all the way around. Whether you're a fan of the team, you fan of LaMelo Ball, or wherever Hornets fan you are, not everything you read is really directed at where it's supposed to be. There was a meme that was out yesterday that went around social media yesterday about Coach Break about LeVar Ball's comments about LaMelo coming off the bench and what James Borrego had said yesterday to us in the shoot around yesterday. Those two comments had nothing to do with one another. I was in the conference, the press conference on the presser yesterday, or shoot around yesterday, with Coach Borrego, and they had nothing to do with either one of them. It's just that being in the media, sometimes people will take comments and quotes and take it to a whole totally different direction. What Coach Borrego said yesterday was holding LaMelo Ball accountable for what he's doing on the court. If you're turning the ball over on offense and not covering on defense, you're not going to play. That had nothing to do with LeVar Ball's comments. And really, it was taken so far out of context. You have a divide already in Hornets Nation about LaMelo starting or LaMelo coming off the bench. And this just makes things worse. On top of that, LaMelo Ball is 16 games into his career, and I'm not understanding where the idea of him asking for a trade or him forcing a trade 16 games into his career. It really is not that serious. LaMelo said himself yesterday he's got to be better. And coach has said he's got to be better. There is not anything in this franchise that says that they're not trying to give LaMelo Ball the ability to do so and to be the leader of this team, because we all know eventually, as long as he's giving it on both sides of the ball, he is he is the most talented player on this team. Okay, I mean, he has the biggest upside of anybody on this team. I don't think nobody can disagree with that. But when you ask the question about LaMelo and his playing time, or LaMelo and his happiness, it's really a lot of fans who are just wanting to see him play. And I understand it and I get it. But people have to realize that LaMelo is not walking into a situation where he's asked to be the savior. If you look at the other rookies across the NBA, it's not a savior situation. These rookies never had a chance to go through Summer League. They had a different type of training camp, and Hunter Butler stopping through. What's up, Hunter? Appreciate the shots. I'm trying to get you on screen so people can see it. Big shout out to you, Hunter. I appreciate it. But a lot of these rookies don't have a chance to literally had a chance to do training camp. They didn't have a chance to do, OTAs throughout the summer. They really only had training camp. And Charlotte is in a unique situation. If you look at the way the draft boards were set up, and you look where the top two players were, Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball and James Wiseman, if you look at the fits and where they could have gone, Wiseman was a fit in Golden State. He was a fit in Charlotte. Anthony Edwards was much more of a fit out in Minnesota, and it really could have fit in with Golden State because of the Klay Thompson injury. And of course, he could have fit here. LaMelo Ball and D'Angelo Russell would have been a really, really weird combination. On top of that, if he went to Golden State, I don't think it would have worked effectively, because both Steph Curry and LaMelo Ball both need the ball. I don't think that would have worked. So coming to Charlotte had two guys last year that were over 18-point-a-game scorers last year, and Devontae Graham should have got way more love on the Most Improved Player of the Year award, because it's very rare when a player scores over 13 points a game from one season to the next. Devontae hit over 200 3-pointers last year. I think it was 218 last year. He finished in the top 5 last year. He played, and really, Devontae was a flamethrower last year. And even though you look at the shooting numbers, he shot 37.3%, but he shot over 500 3-pointers. Okay, if you're knocking down 218 of them, I'll think shooting 38%. If you're hitting 218, I think it's a pretty solid number at this point. At this point, LaMelo Ball wasn't asked to come in and save this team from day one. What Charlotte was doing for him, and what Charlotte is doing for him right now, is letting him develop. Because yes, he did play professional basketball in Australia, and yes, he has played professional over in Lithuania, and he also at the same time, he played in high school. But if you go back to Australia, LaMelo Ball only played 13 games in Australia. His team was 3-10, and then he had a foot injury that kept him out the rest of the year. So it wasn't like he played a complete season overseas. The shot numbers were bad, and also the field goal percentage was bad, on top of the fact of defense. But we all saw what the ability was. At this point, you're asking a rookie to come in and really learn. Gordon Hayward is also added as well too, so that adds a different dimension when it comes to ball handling. LaMelo Ball is in the perfect situation because number one, he's able to learn the game and let the game slow down to him. He even said yesterday he's moving too fast. That is a very common trait of any rookie in the NBA is moving too fast because the game is at a different type of speed. You ask any player in the NBA, especially rookies, second, and third year players, and I've asked this question for literally the last 6 years, and any player that's come in the league, I always ask them from year 1 to year 2 or year 2 to year 3, how much the difference between the game speed has been, and they will tell you that the game speed slows down tremendously. It slows down. And for LaMelo, the game is still fast to him. Yes, he is a guy that moves the needle and he does different things, but the game is still fast to him. As you can tell with the rotations on defense, his defensive planting, watching the ball instead of watching where he's supposed to be, those are things that rookies go through. The good news is he can learn from them. It's not to the point where he has to be forced to play because they don't have nobody there. Terry Rozier has had an outstanding start in the last 2 games. Hasn't been good, but Rozier is top 10 in the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. He's still, I think, close to 20. I think still over 20 points a game this season, or right around it. And Devontae's game is getting better and better after the slow start. And really, Commit to Sobriety over on YouTube is saying, Devontae, I'm sorry, I'm having issues putting the stuff on the screen. I do apologize. But he's saying Devontae didn't get love because of after his hot start. He fell hard. And the thing was, if you look at Devontae's numbers last year, Devontae shot 38% from the floor. This is nothing different than what we saw last year. Shooting 28% in the first 7 games is not good. But when you've done what Devontae did last year, you deserve equity. There have been many of nights where Devontae Graham, if you watched the Hornets last year, he carried Charlotte, and he did it a lot last year. There's so many instances where you can watch what Devontae has done, and he deserves it. Any player that has been the best player on the team, and a lot of people say it's between him and Terry Rozier last year, arguably the 2 best players on the team, if they get off to a slow start, they have the equity to do so. They've built enough in this time frame to do that. And also at the same time, what LaMelo has done offensively, he doesn't do defensively. At least with Graham and Rozier, especially Rozier, they give you on both sides of the floor. And Devontae doesn't turn the ball over very much. If you look at Devontae's numbers, his assist to turnover ratio is about 3-1. And tonight, Devontae, if you look at his numbers tonight, Devontae, 6 assists, not 1 single turnover. So there have been moments where if Devontae's shot's not been going, he's getting his teammates involved. If you're not scoring and you're getting your teammates involved, guess what? You're still going to play, regardless of any situation. Now, LaMelo Ball is arguably the most exciting player, arguably this franchise has had. I mean, he might be more exciting than Kemba Walker has, and I understand that. And as a person that has not only covered this team or covered the NBA, but I've been a Hornets fan since I was going back to 1988. I'm 37, so I was a small child when the Hornets first got to Charlotte in 88. So I have been a Hornets fan before I became a media member. This is my hometown team. So I have watched this franchise my entire life. And I can only mention maybe 5 players that have gotten this franchise or the fan base, their blood pumping. And I understand that. But this kid is not brought in to save the team right now. Is he going to be a starter? We all know it's eventually going to happen. I've been saying it right. I had said it was going to be mid-January if the wheels had fallen off, but Charlotte hit a winning streak, and they were at 500 right around mid-month, so it kind of pushed the timeline back. I think LaMelo Ball will be a starter sometime next month. Right as I think before we get back to the next big home stretch of games, I think unless the team gets to be, they start increasing their weight going towards 7, the 7th spot in the East, I think a lineup change will probably come soon enough. Either A, due to injury, B, due to maybe another slow stretch of games, or it might be the point where LaMelo is just basically improved so much that you have to make the change in the lineup. But there's no reason to rush this process. There's not a reason to. This is not NBA 2K, and this is not You don't have VC to magically make LaMelo Ball into a starter, and really firing James Borrego is not an option. So the fire James Borrego movement is not happening. This team is way better than it was last year and way more competitive than they were last year. He's not going anywhere. Michael Jordan in the front office, I'm so certain they're happy with where they are. Does losing hurt? Of course it does. But look at where they were last year with 23 wins last year, and look at this team now at 7-9. If you watch this team last year and watch this team this year, two totally different teams, two totally different efforts, and this team is much better than they were last year. So it's a process. Sorry if you don't like how the process is working and you want to do something different. I can't really say much for you, but the fire movement for James Borrego is not happening anytime soon. Hate to burst the bubble. Now there is more things with Charlotte going on, but the good news is, like I said, I'm not sure if they haven't told us. I don't think it's gonna be a shoot around tomorrow because of the back-to-back. But we will be on with post-game or pre-game with Coach at 5:30. So check out the 3-point conversions Facebook page for the post-gamer with JB tomorrow. Also at the same time, we'll be on for post-game, and then I'll be on for the post-game show live. Let's see, with 7 o'clock tip. I'm thinking probably right around 10:30, about 10:30ish tomorrow night here on Happs TV. If the internet doesn't go out my apartment again. All right, so yeah, check me out tomorrow night, 10:30 here on Happs TV for the post-game show. Game 2, Hornets and Magic. And then, like I said, we'll catch you guys on Wednesday for the show. Also, like I said, big ups to Jeff Adams, who just subscribed. Brian Waters, I appreciate you as well, too. And check out Brian's work. He did double time tonight with the AFC championship game, post-game show, and the NFC championship game. Check out his work. I know his Ravens aren't playing right now, but he puts in quality work, and also show some love to him as well, too. Mike Latista, what do you think about the Hawks? Well, they're an NBA team. I don't know what more you want me to tell you. They're an NBA team right now. And yes, I've been getting a lot of questions about the NBA show. Don't worry, it's coming soon. Appreciate you, Mike, with the 25-cent Heart Award, and Ted, of course, with the High Five Award. I appreciate everybody for stopping in and donating tonight. And like I said, also subscribe, and also be a donor as well, too. Listen, $1 a day keeps the show going a day. That's all I'm saying. $1 a day of donation, and listen, you'll see way more content for $1 a day, even 50 cents a day, and 50 cents a month. That's all I'm saying. All right, but like I said, big shout out to everybody, like I said, for coming through. Check out Mike Patton's work with the AFC show. He does the AFC South show every single week. Different people talking about the AFC South outstanding show. Yeah, Ted, an NBA show's coming. I'm just saying. But for myself, like I said, check me out on Twitter at DannyDA number 3 Thompson on Twitter. Follow me on the 3pointconversion.com as well as the 3-Point Conversions YouTube page. Like I said, we talk Hornets all day over there, and also we'll do, like I said, check out the site as well too, because they have post-game interviews and also press conferences from all the AFC and NFC championship games, and also all their coverage on Super Bowl week as well too. Check out the show tomorrow night, Beyond the Buzzer, on YouTube, is on Facebook, Zingo TV, and I-95 Sports Network, 9 p.m. tomorrow night. As well, like I said, check us out. Ted, you're going to kill me with this one. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys. And we went over 20 minutes longer than I was supposed to go over tonight. Don't worry, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Follow, like, subscribe, and also become part of the show. Like I said, see you guys tomorrow night. Enjoy your evening. Stay safe, because COVID is not, I'm not trying to let COVID win any longer. I'm ready to go back to basketball. I'm ready to have fans in arenas again. So guys and girls, stay at home so that way we can enjoy the second half of the season with fans. Peace out, y'all. Have a great night.